Welcome to Made in Murray, the podcast that focuses on the successes and struggles of local businesses. Let's get started.
My name's G. I'm your host, and today I have the pleasure of time with Mark Russell, who is the founder and owner of Focus Fitness and Martial Arts Centre, based in Elgin. Mark describes Focus as a hub where like-minded individuals can meet, observe, and try a variety of martial art styles. It's also a place where the students are involved in cross-training. It's a place where there are a variety of classes, including circuit training, street dance, kickboxing. They even do yoga and Pilates. Did I miss anything?
No, that's fine.
Super cool, super cool. So thank you very much for joining me here today. Tell me, how did this whole concept of organization and structure and fitness and business and martial arts, how did it all begin?
It just kind of evolved, really, to be honest. I started doing Taekwondo when I was 12 years old. And just really from there, pretty much went through the steps of gaining my black belt and stuff like that. And then eventually ended up coaching it myself, or instructing it myself. And then finding somewhere to train and people to train with and, good equipment to train with as well. So it was difficult to start with, and then eventually just progressed on to owning Focus, really. I used to teach all around Murray, and that was my job, to be honest. And I thought, my students need a little bit better. They need something a bit more professional, and I needed something a bit more professional as well. So that's why Focus was born, really, to be honest.
Oh, wow. And you said you started at the age of 12, is that right?
Yeah, I started Taekwondo at the age of 12.
Okay.
There was, where I lived in Lumbride, so it's quite local, and there wasn't really much in the idea of martial arts that were accessible to me at that time. And a guy, Steve Bell, he came to Lumbride. He'd just come out of the army. He'd been training in Hong Kong, and he received his black belt in Hong Kong under Kwok Jae Young from Korea. And he came back to Lumbride and set up a club. And as soon as I heard there was a club there, I thought, right, I'm going for this, So that's what I started doing. My mum and dad didn't know that, but that's what I went to. I didn't tell my mum and dad that I'd started until they found out, really, to be honest, because I didn't think they would let me go.
Oh, wow. Wow. So did you have to pay? I mean, how did you organize that?
Yeah, I did pay. Yeah, I did. It was only, to be honest, back then it was only 50p for a class for 2 hours, So,
right.
So it was a bit easier.
You had that money in a jar somewhere.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So that was my pocket money. So I managed to kind of hide that a little bit, which I don't advise anybody to do, but at the time it was a little bit easier,
Yeah.
So yeah.
So what did they say when they found out?
Nothing much, I mean, they were just, I suppose they were a bit disappointed that they didn't know, but they were happy that I'd found something I enjoyed, and it certainly helped me a lot in my journey through my life, to be honest,
Uh-huh. Wow. So did you get involved in any competitions? How did you get trained up as a trainer? How did that all come about?
At the start, there wasn't very many competitions because Taekwondo back then in Elgin was very, very small, or even in Scotland, really, to be honest, it was quite small. So there was a competition once a year down in Edinburgh, and it was a guy, Master Han Wong. He had his academy down there, so he would do our gradings as well. He would come up from Edinburgh to do our gradings, and also once a year he did the Scottish Championships at that time. So I would go to that, but yeah. I mean, I thought I was good at Taekwondo, but as I went kind of higher up the grades, I realised, wow, I've got a lot to learn, And I think, the higher up you get as well, the more kind of humble you get as well, and you realise that I've still got loads to learn.
Yeah, I imagine it's a never-ending process, and as usual, the more you learn, the bigger the world gets, right?
Yeah, definitely. We think we're pretty important in our own little circle, or our own little pond, and then you see the bigger world and you appreciate that there's a lot better people out there,
Oh, absolutely. So what was the spark that directed you into opening a fitness center and, becoming a coach and a trainer?
I mean, I've always loved Taekwondo, to be honest. I mean, I trained as a plumber. I served my time as a plumber with a local firm, and I really enjoyed that. But I didn't want to be 50 years old and be under the floors or cleaning out
Yeah.
toilets or whatever, cleaning out drains and stuff. So and I was competing quite a lot then as well, and it was probably in some ways a selfish thing to do as well, because I wanted a better facility so that I got more people, so that I could train with more people as well, so that I could improve more as well, So, I mean, as far as coaching, I do enjoy speaking to people. My dad was a milkman back in the day, and whenever I went up the high street with him, he would talk to so many people, and I suppose I just kind of learned to talk to people through that as well, and I enjoy human interaction. I love talking to people. I love seeing people develop and all that. So I suppose coaching is kind of something I really wanted to do, without knowing, I suppose,
Oh yeah, absolutely. And hey, my dad was a milkman for a while as well. It's it's an interesting parallel there, right?
Yes.
So what are the kinds of tasks that you have to do on a daily basis to keep the organization running? And I guess we have to take into consideration all the changes that have happened recently due to the health crisis.
Just now, my business is closed because of the COVID-19 thing, So, to be honest, right now I'm not doing much in the building. I don't do anything. I just go down and check it's safe and it's okay, and but generally my day to day, I would either be cleaning, or I would be kind of lesson planning, or a bit of accounting, or just loads of different little things that I suppose you don't realize goes on behind the scenes of a business,
Oh yeah, absolutely. What's it like having to do all of those little bits and pieces yourself?
I like it. I mean, I don't know. I just, it's like cleaning your car yourself, When you clean your car yourself, you know exactly what's happening with the car, if there's any little bits of rust or anything like that. And it's the same with the gym, When I clean the gym, I know what's happening, and I know if there's anything that needs repaired. I know if somebody's lost something, or, I'm kind of responsible for it. And I feel that I know my business quite well because I clean it, And when I clean it, I listen to podcasts as well. So I try and kind of multitask as I'm doing it, to be honest. So I try not to make it just about the cleaning. I try and do a little bit of learning as well,
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Multitasking, basically.
Multitasking, yeah.
Something like that. So what kind of podcasts are on your radar? What do you listen to?
I listen to loads of different kind of podcasts, to be honest. It just depends on what my kind of mood is and that. A lot of the kind of ones that are kind of, I suppose, self-help ones as well, and self-development ones, some fitness kind of ones, and some just bizarre ones like Radio Lab. I like Radio Lab. It's quite a good one.
Okay, what's that about? I don't know that one. What's that?
Radio Lab. It's kind of like, it's almost scientific-y kind of ones, or kind of just interesting things that are happening around the world at this time and stuff, So yeah, I like listening to things like that.
I've seen online that you also do some of your own podcasting as well. Can you talk about that for a minute? What's that about?
Yeah, basically for about 6 or 7 years, I was a Scottish national coach. So I would travel to loads of different countries and see loads of different coaches, and also experience a lot of matches and stuff as well, like fights and stuff. So I felt I was developing there as well. And then when I came back from doing that, and it wasn't viable for my business to do it any longer. So I just thought, I'm going to commit more to my business. And because of that, I really missed the whole chatting to coaches or chatting to players, or, that kind of level of experts in a sense, So I set up Focus on Taekwondo so that I could interview like people that I used to see, basically, so that I was still in the loop, and I was still developing, I was still learning, and it, it's my interest, and I thought if I'm interested in this, then other people will be interested in it as well, and that's why I set up the podcast.
Yeah, it's a great way to communicate and connect with people so that you don't lose touch. Absolutely. I wish more people would do that. I wish more people would reach out and do something like that. So how has the situation been recently with your business and the health crisis, and you obviously you have to close your doors, right? So how did you handle that situation? How did you respond to it? What did you do with the classes? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I mean, when COVID-19 was kind of coming along from China, and you could see it kind of coming in, I mean, there was a lot of uncertainty, and just as a whole nation as well. But from a self-employed business as well, you wonder if you're going to survive. You don't know when to stop your classes, when to open them up again, I suppose, as well now. I mean,
Yeah.
So when it first came along, I was still teaching some of the classes, and I seen people down in England, they had said that they'd stopped classes, and I was like, wow, this is coming now. It's going to be fast approaching. And in Moray, we didn't have anybody with COVID-19 at that point, so it was really difficult, because you thought, well, the best thing for people is, for their mental health and physical health as well, is to be active. So it was hard to make the decision to close the gym, but it got to the point where, Boris Johnson said, you need to close, not personally to me, but to the country, so then I took a decision to close, and I had a few people saying, oh, can I still not use the gym? Can I maybe do this? And I was like, no, you can't. No, we've got to be, we've got to do it the right way and stop. And from a point of view of like finances, it's really difficult, because so much uncertainty. I mean, I have mortgages and things like that to pay, and staff to pay, and all these things, so you do worry about that initially, but then the main thing is the health of your clients and stuff. And so that's why I closed, and then I decided that I was going to do some online classes. So I've been teaching online classes. I've been doing a fitness class, and also some Taekwondo classes. I'd started off originally with Tuesday and Thursday, and then as it got a little bit kind of busier, and also more people wanted more, I did some more on the Saturday as well. So I do Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. And I had it was quite good at some point, because I had a team from Bulgaria came in as well. They were doing Taekwondo with me as well. So that was really good. It was good for my guys to see that as well.
Wow. So how does it work? How do you actually run a class online?
Well, the first time I did it, I had my phone, and I set up a Zoom meeting, and I was basically teaching my class to a phone. I couldn't see anybody. I couldn't see what was going on. And it was one of the most bizarre things I've ever done in my life. I thought, this is really crazy. I don't actually enjoy this. I thought, no, I'm going to stick with it. And then I thought, right, I'm going to try and use my laptop. And I put it on my laptop, and this is the next couple of times, and it's so much better. You can see everyone. So there's a bit of human interaction as well, which is what I really enjoy and miss just now, to be honest. So I thought, that's what I'm going to do. And I try and, obviously you've got to keep, I mean, I follow the British Taekwondo safety guidelines and all that for how to teach online and stuff.
Right. That must be kind of crazy, because people are not in your gym, right? They'll be in their living room or bedroom or something like that.
Well, I did a online course, not a course, but like an online conference with the British Taekwondo, who had, obviously, I've taken advice from other people about how to teach online and how to make sure they're safe, and make sure I'm safe as well. So that was quite an interesting one. So that kind of gave me a bit more confidence in teaching online as well. And then I just basically, I'll demonstrate some stuff, and then they'll do it at the same time, or I might set them a challenge, and then I can sit and watch them all doing it, to make sure that they're all doing it right, or doing it technically right as well. So just trying to kind of change it around a little bit to make it entertaining for them as well. Try and involve them as well. I speak to them as well a little bit, so they kind of, at times they can converse with me as well, which is good.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And so how has this overall then affected the business? I mean, obviously, I imagine there's been a certain loss in income because of that, because all businesses have suffered in that way. So how has that worked out? How has that balanced out for you?
I mean, definitely a loss in income. But I didn't start Focus to make lots of money, to be honest. I started Focus because I love it, So my first thing wasn't to become rich and famous or whatever. I mean, my main thing is I wanted to pass on my knowledge of Taekwondo, and also give other clubs in the area the opportunity to have a place that's set up for martial arts, you know. So as far as just now, yeah, I mean, I don't have anybody hiring my gym right now, so I've obviously lost that income as well. And some of the students have been amazing, to be honest, and I've had messages from parents saying that, you know, look, we know that you're closed, but we really appreciate everything you do, and we want it to be there after COVID-19 is finished. So we're going to continue paying for the classes, which I think is an amazing thing, to be honest. And it does humble me because, you know, I know that this is a difficult time for everyone. The COVID-19 has brought out the best in some people and the worst in other people, you know, to be honest. But certainly from my students, I've seen nothing but love, I suppose you could say, you know, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. When there's a challenging situation, it does bring out the important parts of people's character. Right?
Definitely.
You get to see who's going to help out, who's going to chip in when there's a problem like that. So it's really nice to know that.
Yeah.
And then you can build good long-term relationships with people when you know that that is in place. So when you originally set up the martial arts and the gym, usually businesses at the beginning struggle with finding new clients and putting the information out and marketing and advertising. So how did you get out the word about what you were doing?
Back in the day when I started teaching Taekwondo, I took over the class from my old instructor. So we had a few students then. I think we had about 10 students at the most then. So from there, it was about developing that. And I would go around, I would have little flyers. I used to go down to Glasgow every weekend to train with a guy, Master Andy Brown. So I would go down and train with him, and he would have some flyers and stuff, and I would look at them, and I'd copy a lot of the style of advertising that he was doing, and I would take it back, and I would put out my flyers all around to all the shops or all the schools and stuff like that. I would do demonstrations at schools, and slowly built up the clientele, I suppose you could say then, you know. So when I decided to open Focus, I already had probably about 100 odd students. So I had a guaranteed income coming in. So I wasn't starting a new business as such, you know, in a sense that there was no clients. It was, you know, I didn't know how it was going to work. I had a kind of rough idea that these people would come to me, although some of them were from Limbride, some of them were from Lossiemouth, some of them from New Elgin. So, I mean, to get them to come to one place, it isn't easy, to be honest, but I think it's, you know, it was definitely worth it for them. So there was lots of advantages as opposed to disadvantages for them coming to Focus. So I think it was easy for them to step through the door. So I had the clients then that were coming in then, you know, the students coming in. So that was quite good from a financial point of view. For the clubs coming in, I knew a few people, so I asked a few people, like, would you like to hire the hall? And other people, because I opened up the gym, they asked me if they could hire it. So it was kind of word of mouth as well, you know. I mean, Elgin's quite a small place, and it's quite a community, you know, in a sense that loads of people speak to one another. So we got that kind of word of mouth coming in, and people starting to join from that as well. And it's always been about that. A little bit of advertising and a little bit of word of mouth. I mean, I've never paid for advertising, to be honest. I've never put it in the Northern Scot or anything like that, just because I couldn't really afford to do it as well. And I didn't think it was as effective as actually going into one of the schools and being face to face, showing somebody what they're capable of doing, you know, and encouraging them and making them a bit more confident, you know.
Oh, absolutely. So what kind of marketing worked the best? Was it going into schools that worked the best for you, or?
Yeah, I mean, when I first started going into schools, there was not many martial art clubs doing that. So definitely helped a lot, because it was getting in and showing them, you know, what I could do, because I was a lot younger then. So I could do quite some good stuff in Taekwondo then. I still think I can, but I'm not sure if my body thinks the same.
Does it get a lot harder as you get older?
You know what? If I'm honest, I don't think it does for me just yet, you know. I think maybe in the next 10 years it might make a difference, but right now I still feel I'm okay. I'm not as fit as I was, but I will get that back, I'm sure, you know. But I'm happy with my standard in Taekwondo. I probably enjoy it more now, to be honest. But yeah, it's just finding the time to train. Sometimes it's difficult.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So what kind of fitness activities and level do you need to be doing to be involved in Taekwondo as an activity? I mean, obviously you said you were a national coach as well. I mean, that must require a pretty high level of ability.
I think at that time, Scotland wasn't really doing much in Taekwondo. It had done a little bit, but it wasn't doing much. So it needed somebody to drive it a little bit further forward. So there was a group of us came together, and some of the guys had a bit more business experience, so they kind of managed the team, and then I had a bit more like fighting side of things. I mean, I went a few competitions and stuff, so I had a lot more experience of that. And another couple of guys joined in as well with us, and we offered coaching, national coaching in Scotland. So it was really good. I mean, as far as the level of or what qualifications you need, I mean, you need to be a black belt, to be honest, to compete internationally. Some martial arts you can compete at different grades, but for Taekwondo, because it's an Olympic sport, to compete in the international level, the world championships and European championships and things, you need to be a black belt. So that's a minimum standard for that. For coaching, you need to have a good understanding of the sport. You need to have good people skills, I suppose, as well. And you need to be proven, I suppose, that you can do what you're doing. So I enjoyed it. It was really good. I'm currently a 5th Dan Taekwondo black belt. So that, in a sense, would class me as a master. But
okay.
I don't ever want my students to call me a master, to be honest. I think it's a bit crazy, to be honest. So from my point of view, I mean, other people want that, but I certainly don't.
Okay, so how many Dans are there? Because I don't know about that stuff. So how does that work?
There's 8 Dans, 9 Dans. Okay. 9th Dan is the highest one you'd go to. There is a 10th Dan, which is an honorary Dan, but most people would get to 9th Dan over a long period of time, to be honest. So that's it. So, but you would grade, like, from your 1st Dan to 2nd Dan takes you 2 years. From your 2nd to 3rd takes you 3 years. From your 3rd to 4th takes you 4 years. From your 4th to 5th takes you 5 years.
So
5th to 6th, 6 years.
So you're 4th Dan or 5th Dan? No.
I'm a 5th Dan, yeah.
5th Dan. So that took you, is that like it takes 4 or 5 years then to go from 4th Dan to 5th Dan?
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
So what are you learning in that period of 5 years? 5 years is a really long time, right? So,
it is,
so what's the difference there?
The difference, I suppose, is the hours that you're training, the hours that you're putting in mentally and physically, training and thinking and studying about Taekwondo, and obviously going away and training with other people as well, and learning from them. My instructor, Jaeon Shin, I met him in Korea about 20 years ago. He now lives in Ireland, so we're quite in touch quite a lot. He comes over to Scotland and does seminars, and also, like, we do kind of video stuff as well, where we kind of learn that way as well. So there's a lot of learning. There's not so much physical learning, but more probably mental learning in a sense as well. I mean, you're studying more the technical side of Taekwondo.
Yeah, that's something that really interests me, because people obviously understand there's a physical element to it, but there must also be a very powerful mental element to the process of learning as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's things called the tenets of Taekwondo, and like courtesy, respect, integrity, indomitable spirit, all these things, there's things that some martial arts, at the start of the class, they put their hands up and they say these tenets of Taekwondo, and they repeat it like it's, like their oath, I suppose you could say, oath of Taekwondo. But I don't tend to do that, because I would rather my students knew how to be that way rather than learn the words of it. I think it's more important that they act that way rather than they say those things. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah, absolutely. Our actions can be different from our words sometimes.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, definitely.
So it's important. What about things like how dangerous the activity is, and getting injured or something like that, or getting hurt in a fight? I mean, what's that? What level is that at?
There's always a risk in any sport you do. There's always going to be a risk. I mean, you have to kind of try and limit the risk as much as you can, in a sense, from a coach's point of view. I would never put anyone into a position that they weren't ready for. In some sense. I mean, sometimes it's good to challenge the student as well, but it's about It's about monitoring it and making sure that they're not out of their depth too much. That it's achievable for them.
Yeah. Well, how does that work in terms of, say, a competition or a fight or something? Because, like, if you're in a competition, you're out you're out to get someone, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we try when we go to competitions or that. I mean, the competitions, you try and make sure that the people that you're fighting, that your student is fighting against, is the same weight, the same kind of size, approximately as you can be. And because it is a weight division sport, then it's a little bit easier. But you can never manage completely how somebody is going to deal with a competition. Either you're a student or the other student. So there's always going to be that risk, but they're not alone. I'm sitting in the chair. I'm sitting in the coach's chair as well. So I'm there to encourage or to to obviously stop it if I don't think it's going the right way. But we try and prepare our students in the gym as much as we can to be ready for that. So we try and explain to them how it's going to feel, how it's going to be, why we train so hard in the gym, so that it makes the competition a little bit easier.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I imagine your work must take up a lot of your time, a lot of your energy. How do you stay motivated and inspired to keep things going?
Yeah, I mean, motivation for anyone can be difficult at different times in their life, because obviously, we all have different challenges throughout our life. So motivation comes and goes. But seeing students progressing and developing and achieving some amazing things definitely helps my motivation, to be honest. And my own personal motivation to train. Yeah, I mean, I still enjoy training. So I think that's the easy part of the motivation if you enjoy it. But yeah, I mean, yeah, pretty much. It's about bouncing off one another and seeing other people developing as well. That helps motivate people, I think.
Oh yeah, absolutely. What's the most enjoyable part of the work that you do?
The most enjoyable part of my work, I would say, is when you see an underdog, so to speak, becoming like amazing at Taekwondo. I do always remember teaching my classes a long time ago, and a couple of students, they were possibly a little bit overweight, a little bit unfit, shall we say, and they came to Taekwondo, and they were very consistent. They came every day. They weren't the best in the class, but they came every day over a long period of time. And I remember kind of hearing the pads getting kicked one day, and I'm thinking, who is that kicking that pad? Because that sounded so strong and so powerful. And I turned around and I was like, oh my God, when did they become so good? It just seemed to click in their head how to do it. They just reached that maturity, and it just changed them so much. And it was really good to see someone becoming so good and understanding Taekwondo in a sense. So that's kind of, that's the reason.
Yeah, I often think that learning is a bit like riding a bicycle. You're sort of wobbling and falling off until that point. And when you understand that point of how to get your balance and how everything works, things all click together, and nobody really knows exactly when that point is going to happen.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's the thing about, us as humans. We're all individuals, and I think that's a great thing, to be honest, because some of us are going to go on to do amazing things that nobody else is going to think about doing, and that's what's great. And that's what I like about my job, is that I do teach such a variety of people, ages and abilities as well. And to see even just like the slightest change in somebody is amazing, so I like that part of it.
Oh, sounds great. What are the hard parts then? What are the parts that you struggle with?
The hard parts are, I suppose there's a few different hard parts. I mean, obviously having to clean the gym every so often is quite difficult sometimes when you don't want to do it, but it's a respect thing, and the gym gives me as much as I give it, I suppose, so it's got to be done. The hard parts are when you have somebody who's very good at Taekwondo, but doesn't value it possibly as much as you think they should, and maybe they leave, and you think it's really difficult when you lose a good student, or when you lose a bad student, to be honest, that you think you can help them so much, and they stop, and you think, I can't change them anymore. But the good thing about Taekwondo over the period of time, over the years, is that I've learned that, it's not about me. It's not about me. It's not about how I feel, it's about that student. And maybe that person came to Taekwondo for a year or whatever and gained the confidence to go and do the football that they want to do, or the basketball they want to do, or the mountain biking they want to do, or whatever it is that, they've made that decision. They've suddenly clicked and they've gained the confidence and they've left, So, as much as sometimes when I was coaching at the start, I took it a little bit personally and thinking, oh, what have I done wrong and stuff? A lot of the time it was nothing to do with that. It was their time to go and move on to the next thing, So it was hard at the start, really difficult, but it's like everything. You learn to understand it a bit more,
Yeah, it's hard to do everything forever, right? So life is
Yeah.
going to have different phases and stages. What would you say to somebody who is maybe thinking about taking up a martial art, or taking up specifically Taekwondo, or maybe a parent who's thinking about it for their kids? What message would you give to them?
Yeah, the message I would give to them is I would say to them to look around, because in Moray we're quite fortunate in that there's so many different martial arts out there. So, martial arts can be a lifetime thing, If you find something that you enjoy so much that it can not take over your life, but it can be part of your life, So I think it's important to find the right martial art for you, the right instructor for you, and just, don't just jump in and think, right, I'm going to do that, have a look around. Be sure that what you want to find is out there, because there is loads of opportunities, loads of clubs, should I say, out there,
Yeah, why are there so many different forms and types of martial arts? Because if I compare it to something like football, there's just football basically, right? But if you look at martial arts, there's maybe 10 different types I can think of, whether it's the common karate, judo, taekwondo, or something. So why are there so many?
Because we're all individuals and we all look for something different, I would say. Football is designed for people that want to play football. It's not designed for everyone. Not everyone plays football, And I think that's the difference. Martial arts, there is something for everyone, to be honest, in martial arts. Whether it's a hard martial arts or a soft martial arts, an external martial art, an internal martial art. There's a physical contact martial art or a non-physical contact. There's so many different aspects or parts of all the different martial arts that there is really something for everyone, really. So whatever you're looking for, I think if you look hard enough, you'll find it, And over your lifetime, that may change. You may start in Taekwondo and go on to Krav Maga or MMA or loads of different things. So I think it's about it's just finding the right one for you just now.
Yeah. So what is it that makes Taekwondo different from the other arts?
I think at the start when I started Taekwondo, it was because it was the only martial art out there, and so that was my, I had no choice really. But over the period of time, I've managed to train with other martial arts and other martial artists as well, and I think Taekwondo offers a mixture, of all the different things. You've got lots of the flashy kicks. You've got the traditional part of it as well, with the patterns and the mindset. You've also got the self-defense side of it. You've got the breaking, the kyokpa side of it, where you're breaking things. You've got loads of different parts of it. You've got the Olympic sparring as well. So there's loads of different things in there. But I think it's about, the instructor is the one that kind of makes the decisions, in a sense, how far to look into Taekwondo, So, there's some clubs that only do sparring, You can join a Taekwondo club down in England and you can only do the fighting side of things. So if you don't want to fight, tough, really, And there's other ones that only do the pattern side of it. And there's ones that only do, so I think my job as an instructor, as a Taekwondo instructor, is to show my students the whole part of Taekwondo, the big circle of it,
Yeah.
And it's up to them, once they become a black belt, to decide if they want to go to sparring or patterns or self-defense or breaking or whatever it is they decide to do, And that's what I believe is a positive about Taekwondo. There's so many different aspects of it that you can then diversify and go off and do something else if you want to at a later date, So I think that's a good thing about Taekwondo, is it's so diverse.
Focusing on work, what is the
Mhm.
most important thing for you and the business right now at this moment?
To keep a tax man happy.
Okay,
No,
okay,
I'm joking.
well, no, but it's a serious issue, right? Right.
Yeah,
Nobody escapes death or taxes, right?
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Um, so what was the question again? Sorry, the most important.
Yeah, the most important thing. The question is about your mindset at the moment, thinking about your work, thinking about your business. What is the most important thing for you to get done or to plan or to prepare, or what's the next step?
As businesses, you need to be ahead of the game in a sense. You need to like you need to flow, I suppose, with the times and things, and you need to change, or not be adverse to change. You need to be quite willing to change if you need to change. Um, so I think as a business owner and a martial artist, I think the best thing is to be open minded.
Mm. There's a lot of people saying out in the press that there might be a second wave of this health crisis. How would something like that affect your business?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the first wave affected my business, so the second wave bound to affect the business.
Yeah.
I think we're quite fortunate up here just now that it's not really hit us too bad yet. But that second wave, yeah, it could by all means an effect on people's lives. So if it has an effect on people's lives, it has an effect on people's businesses.
Oh, absolutely. I find it interesting for health related businesses such as fitness gyms, for example, at a time when we know we need people to be strong and we need people to be healthy. How does that fit into the bigger picture of things where all the gyms have to be closed, but we're asking people to be healthy? I mean, what can people do to help themselves?
Yeah, I think it's important not to rush out and just go crazy and try to be as fit as you can in as short a period of time as you can, because you'll end up either A, injuring yourself, or B, sickening yourself and just making you sit on the couch again because you're like, oh, I can't do it. I think it's
Yeah.
about just doing a little bit often. And that's the secret to fitness is not going crazy. Because I mean, fitness in itself is like anything. If you train too hard, then it has an opposite effect on your body. So I
Mhm.
think it's about training smart. It's about setting yourself a little goal and achieving it, and then improving that goal a little bit and becoming a bit better every day. So not doing too much too soon. It's about just doing a little often, really.
Mhm. A little bit every day, maybe just a little
Yeah,
bit.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the best thing.
Absolutely. Where should people start with that then? If people are not used to it, what would be the starting point?
Um, I mean, it depends on the individual, because obviously, you're looking at such a wide variety of fitness levels out there. To be honest,
Mhm.
I mean,
Like for
first
somebody,
thing,
it might just be going for a walk, right? Just getting
yeah,
out and
yeah.
going for a
I mean,
walk.
just going out for a walk,
Mhm.
and being outside in the open air, and in the trees, or in
Mhm.
the surrounding area. I mean,
Mhm.
it's really good for you, because if we're stuck inside all the time, the air quality is not always going to be the best. So to be outside is better than to be inside. I mean, I'm a great believer in grounding. So
Mhm.
walking about in your bare feet is very, very good for you. I mean, some people will be like, what? But that's really, really important. We came from the earth, so I think we get a lot of energy from the earth. So I think even just standing outside for a little bit of time in your bare feet
Mhm.
is probably good for you. But yeah, definitely walking, and maybe just playing with the kids as well. I mean, that's what we, at the end of the day, that's what we all kind of want to be able to do, is be fit for our life. So it's just about doing it a little bit and often, like I say. But walking one day, and then maybe the next day walk, jog, and then maybe walk a little bit less and jog a little bit more, and just
Mhm.
progress it. But the main thing is that you listen to your body, because your body
Yep.
tells you, if it's had enough, or if it's doing enough. So I think the main thing is to listen to that. And there's loads of online classes just now, whether it's fitness trainers or whether it's martial artists doing things as well. There's loads of things out there, and books as well. It's a great time to study more in the books as well. So I think, yeah, just there's loads of options for people, but not to rush in too much. That's the main thing.
Great advice. Great advice. There's a lot of gyms, fitness clubs, fitness centers around in different areas. What makes what you're doing different, or what makes you stand out from the other centers that exist right now?
I think obviously I have a different approach to it than maybe other people, I mean, my business is not about making loads of money. It's about helping people. So I think if you teach from your heart and not your wallet, I think that helps definitely. I mean, that's like focus has always been there to develop people. It's not to develop the business and become, global gym, as you say.
Yeah.
It's about being. It's a small independent business that wants to help as many people as it can. And we don't think we're the best. You know what I mean? None of the instructors think they're the best. We all just think we're good enough to do it, and we want to make a difference to people's lives. So what makes us different? I don't know. I think I'm not really sure, to be honest. I think we just.
I think you answered it. You answered it already. I mean, part of it is you, right?
Yeah.
Part of it, you're not anywhere else. You're here.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, part of it is me, but part of it is the other instructors as well in the building. I think people attract the same type of people. So I mean, I would probably say that the people that are teaching in my gym have the same mindset as me. So we bounce off each other quite well. None of us really conflict against each other. We're always in the same kind of boat. So I think that helps as well. That definitely helps us. We attract a certain type of people that are not looking to become, a fighter out there that can hurt people. We're looking to improve people, So I think that's the type of people we attract, in our business.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of people believe that if businesses don't grow, they're destined to fail or die. What's your perspective on that, and how far can you take what it is that you're doing?
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I think in most businesses it is, you have to grow, you have to change, you have to develop, you have to do all these things. You have to set goals all the time. I mean, like traditional martial artists, there's always going to be traditional martial art gyms out there, clubs out there, but how many students they have in their gym varies, I suppose, in the individual. But I think that I personally, I mean, I'm trying to do the podcasts. I do a YouTube channel as well. So I'm putting stuff out on there to keep the content out there as well. And I have people come up and do seminars. I had Jay Jones, the Olympic champion, or 2 times Olympic champion, doing seminars. Aaron Cook and Bianca, world champions and stuff. So I think it's important to have people coming up as well. I mean, I always remember one of my students went to Korea for a month to train. And I went over to meet him, and I said to him, "Well, how are you getting on?" And he said, "Oh, yeah, really good." And I was like, "What have you learned?" And he's like, "Oh, I've learned this, I've learned this, I've learned this." And I was like, "All right, okay. So pretty much what I've been telling you for the last 2 years to do." And he's like, "Yeah, you're right." And I think that's the thing. Like, people listen to me in event. It's like being a parent, You can tell your kids over and 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 over again what to do, and they don't really take it in. But somebody else coming in and telling you sometimes makes it click, So I think that's the same with your business. You can tell that you can put the same message across all the time, and people will eventually just not hear it anymore. So you need to change how you tell things, change how you put your business across there as well, other people. And I think that's why maybe YouTube and podcasts and, having seminars and stuff is good for us as a business, I think, So the digital age is definitely upon us.
Oh, absolutely. What are the logistics of getting somebody else to come in and do the training? How do you organize that? You just give them a call, or how does that work?
Yeah, I mean, like the ones that I've used up to now, I've known. So just speaking to them on social media and saying, "Look, would you like to come up and do a seminar?" And that's how we kind of sort it out, really, to be honest. I mean, sometimes it's difficult because they're in different countries and it's going to cost a lot more. So you have to make sure it's going to be viable to do, I mean, certainly not cheap to do, but I think it pays dividends, to be honest. I think you gain a lot more from your students. There's a lot more longevity in that sense, because they've been inspired a bit more.
Absolutely. What is something that you've learned in the last year or two about running a business that you can share with the audience, something that maybe has helped you that might help somebody else?
I think over the last few years, because being self-employed in business is, in a small business, it's difficult because you have to spin so many plates and wear so many different hats,
Yep.
So I think it's about like being adaptable, and not worrying about certain things. I mean, just one of the things that somebody had said to me, and I thought was really, really good. So I'm going to tell you, and I thought it was quite good, is how do you eat an elephant? How do you eat an elephant? How do you eat an elephant?
Bit by bit. Have to catch it first.
Bit by bit, one piece at a time. And I think that's the secret to being in business, is you can only do one thing at a time. So whatever you're doing at that one time, do it the best you can, and then move on to the next thing. So I think it's not to be overwhelmed by the whole massive thing that is self-employed business. I think it's about just doing what you can when you can, and then moving on to the next thing. Not letting it take over your life. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. What is success for you in terms of the work that you're doing?
Success for me is, obviously, you'll know yourself, success can be measured differently. I mean, a lot of people put a lot of emphasis on success being financial success and, having lots of money and stuff like that. And I think that's definitely some part of success. And it is important because you can do certain things with that. But for me personally, success is when somebody gets to black belt, and is a good black belt and understands, so they get to that stage. I'm happy when somebody can not complete the whole thing, but reach their goal, really, to be honest. And I think attaining black belt for a lot of people is a big deal, and I think it's really good. And I enjoy seeing that. So I get success out of people's faces when they get to put that black belt around their waist.
Mm. How do you balance your, say, family life with your working life? How do you balance those two things together?
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge. We do have times where I am going to be really busy, and I have times where I'm not going to be so busy. So you got to take the good with the bad, really, to be honest. I mean, there's times that you have to commit to that, and I think in a relationship or in family life, you have to be open with your partner and explain, look, it's, I've got to do it, and it's for the benefit of me. I am who I am because of what I do. So, you just have to balance it,
Oh, absolutely. Balance is key. It's probably also something that you're teaching as well within what you do.
It. Hopefully well.
Yeah. I'm sure it is good. As my kids have attended your class and I've had nothing but positive feedback from them, I think that is a really, really good success. What about the development of technology recently? How has that affected both the way you run your business and, say, the martial arts industry?
I mean, certainly technology now, I think it's a great thing, to be honest, but it's also a bad thing. I mean, I think when we were younger, if we wanted to learn something, we would buy a book because that was all that was available to us, and you'd look at that book and you'd learn from that, or you'd buy a video and you'd learn from that, Whereas now there's so much information out there that the ability to filter some of that information is the important thing, there can be too much information. So it's been able to just get rid of some of the rubbish and focus on what's important, So I think it's important for our business because we can now watch the Korean Tigers or watch some of the professional teams doing Taekwondo and seeing the standard, So like I said earlier, you can be a big fish in a small pond, but now you're a small fish in a big pond, really. Yeah. So you can, who you aspire to before, like I used to look up to my instructor and want to be like my instructor. But now my students, I wouldn't say they'd be looking up to me. I think they can look up to somebody who's so much better than me and become even better, So it raises the standard of Taekwondo. So every year, I hope that Taekwondo is at this level, but every year it becomes a little bit better because the exposure to people that are amazing is easier, so they can develop a lot quicker.
Yeah, when I think about a lot of sports, specifically athletics, it's clear to see that human achievement is developing. People run faster, they throw further. How's that within Taekwondo? Do you see people achieving today what 10 years ago was like almost impossible, or how does that fit in?
Yeah, I mean, in the sport of Taekwondo, 100%. I mean, in the sport of Taekwondo, you look at the matches that were 10 years ago, and you look at the matches that are now, it's such a different sport, so different, I mean, like in some ways it's better, in other ways it's not better, so it's a balance, isn't it, but there's definitely a lot more skill out there. And Taekwondo, one of the things in Taekwondo is the demonstration side of it, so some of the demonstration kicks that are out there are amazing now. People running, jumping up and kicking and breaking like 5 or 6 things in midair, and if you look back 10 years ago, they were never doing it, so that development has become so major,
Yeah. Do you think there's a limit? Will we
I mean,
be able?
definitely there has to be. I think I think there has to be, but what it is, I don't know if we've reached it yet, but I think there must be a limit somewhere, whether we've reached it.
Yeah, it would make sense. It would make sense. What's your vision for what you would like to achieve in the work that you're doing?
I'd like to maintain my business. I'd like to offer the same facility or a better facility in the future. So that's important. That I want the people of Moray to have access to a good facility that's going to benefit them mentally and physically, really. So that is my goal. Whether I always think that focus is bigger than me. I mean, we talk about before, you said that focus is, people come to you because of you, but the reality is I'm not always going to be here, and I'm not always going to have the ability to do what I can just now. So I want in the future focus to be there, without me, but the values and all that, I want that still to be there. So whether that needs to be a social enterprise or a charity or something in the future, that's where I would like it to be. I'd like it to be continuing, and developing with or without me. That's my goal. It's not about me. It's about focus, developing in the right path,
Oh yeah, that makes sense. How do you then balance working in the business with working on the business from your perspective?
That's really hard, and I think that's where I lack a little bit. I'm not a businessman. I've always said I'm not a businessman. So I do definitely, and I have spoke about this, that I want to develop myself more in that side of things to ensure that focus can stay, in the present day and obviously beyond, So I think it's a hard one, trying to balance the work on me and balance the work on the business. It's really difficult, but it's something, both of them are very important.
Mm-hmm. What advice would you give to people interested in getting into working in fitness or coaching in martial arts or doing something like that?
Do it for the right reason, I think do it for the right reason. I mean, a coach can improve somebody's life or, can put them off a sport, I mean, I remember, at school, you have teachers who are very inspirational and you have teachers who are, just don't inspire you at all, really, So I think that if you're going to go into coaching, then you have to understand that everyone's different, and you have to understand that, it's a big responsibility coaching somebody, I think, and you have to look for the right answers. When I started teaching coaching, I taught what my instructor taught me. I did the warm-ups the way I did, the way he did, and I did, I taught the class the way he did. But for a long time, I always worried that, what if I'm doing it wrong? What if I'm hurting somebody? What if I'm not making the right decisions? So that's why I went and did, I became a personal trainer as well, and I've done some strength and conditioning qualifications as well to make sure that what I'm doing is right. And I think that's important for somebody. If they're going to become a coach, they have to understand that their job is to improve somebody, to make their life better. That's the main thing. It should always be the thing. It's not about you, it's about them.
And I think if you're going to be a good coach, you need to have coaching progression as well. You need to update your skills. You need to be aware of
Yeah,
what's happening, what's new.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that can be difficult if you're in a small business. I think if you're in a larger business, there's always that there's always that put in place for you developing. And I think as a small businessman, it can be very difficult to find the time and sometimes find the money to invest in yourself. But it's so important that you do that. Yeah, I mean, because the life, the world, it changes, and we have to change with it. So yeah, personal development is really important too.
What could or should the community do more to support small businesses within this region?
It's very difficult because obviously, the global businesses, the big massive businesses, they provide lots of services in the one building, like, I mean, Tesco and Asda and things like that, not to name any, but they offer a lot. So the small businesses that used to offer these things all seem to disappear, So it's very difficult. And Amazon coming along, and you can buy everything in the click of a finger. It's really difficult to say, yeah, we have to use small businesses when the small businesses is more expensive, and all these things. I think people struggle sometimes. They think, well, I can't really afford that if I buy it from them. I can afford this if I buy it from them. So the community, I mean, the whole thing about the community is helping one another. So I think if businesses are honest and they provide a service that is, value for money, then I think community will always support them, And there is always going to be change in business. People are always going to, go in business and go out of business, But I think it's important that when you're a businessman, you don't just see the profit. I think you have to as a community, you have to see the relationship. And I think if you do that, then the community will support you. I think personally,
Absolutely. That's a beautiful point. If you could wave a magic wand and change one thing about your industry or your work, what would you like to change?
It's a difficult one, that one. What would I change? Yeah, it's really hard to say, really. I mean, one thing I would change. I think you've got me on this one. Give me a second.
It's okay. Take your time. Maybe you have changed everything you want to change already.
No, I think, to be honest, the one thing about my industry, I think that I would like to change is that more people can access it, So it's not about if you can afford the classes, or if you can afford the equipment, or if you can afford to travel. I think I'd like to make it more accessible for everyone at every level. I mean, obviously up here we have students who have achieved a great standard, to be honest. But to make that jump into the British team, to become a British athlete, is very expensive. You need to travel a lot. You need to, you travel a lot. You need to invest a lot of money to become a British athlete. And I think that's the one thing I would change. I would definitely think it would be important to offer some type of sponsorship or funding, geographical funding or whatever it is, to allow individuals who deserve the right to compete that chance. So I would definitely say that financial side of it would be something I would try and get rid of, because that does stop a lot of people getting to the right place. So definitely that.
Yeah, thinking about martial arts makes me think about both the benefits that are physical and mental there. It also makes me think about schools. Why do we not have like martial arts as part of a curriculum in schools, do you think?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I'm not sure why they don't do it. I mean, I obviously went to visit a few different schools over my time, and a lot of the teachers really, enjoy having martial artists coming in and demonstrating and teaching and explaining about discipline, explaining about all these things. So I think it would be something that was worth looking into or doing, to be honest. I also went to one school back in the day, and I said to them, look, I'd like to come and do a Taekwondo demonstration. And they're like, oh, no, we don't want any martial arts here because there's enough people kicking each other in the schools. And I was like, yeah, but I think, if somebody comes in and explains why they shouldn't be doing it or gets them more involved in a sport that does it, they're less likely to do it. So I think it depends on who's in charge of putting these things in place. Some head teachers are very open-minded and understand the benefits of martial arts, and other head teachers or people in government are less encouraging of it,
Oh, absolutely. And if somebody from a local football team said, hey, I want to come in and talk about football, they wouldn't use the argument of there's enough people kicking balls already, would they?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's kind of a bit ridiculous.
Yeah.
Right. In terms of influence, recommendations, practicality, is there a book that you would recommend or a film that you would recommend to people? Something that would something that's maybe influenced you in a positive way that that other people might like?
I read loads of different books, but I don't read them. I listen to them as audiobooks, to be honest. I'm not a big reader. I struggle to read, to be honest. I much more prefer listening to audiobooks. So one that I've recently listened to and I thought was quite good was the Obesity Code, and that was quite good. That was quite interesting from a health point of view. I think what the media tells us to do or tells us to eat or when to eat and things like that are skewed a little bit. And I think that looking at science of our human body is something that we should do a bit more. And the book, Obesity Code, certainly I think has gone into some things a little bit more scientifically and explains a lot more to me.
Yeah, what was one thing from the book that maybe resonated with you that made sense?
Just about, the one thing was, like snacking, we get told, oh yeah, you should have your 3 meals a day and you should probably have a snack as well because you need to keep your metabolism going and all that. And it's to me, it's rubbish, to be honest. I don't think that that's something that we need to do. That's something that obviously, the food manufacturers are putting.
Yeah. Well, how do you organize your food or your diet then as a coach?
How I approach my nutrition is obviously a personal one, to be honest. It's something that works for me. And I think that's the thing about nutrition. You've got to find what works for you. I tend to, I don't have breakfast in the morning, and I'm not saying I recommend this. I'm just saying this is what I would do. So I don't have breakfast in the morning. I'll not have anything to eat until about lunchtime. So I try and let my body, find its own energy from somewhere else, like a kind of intermittent fast in a sense, and then I would have something to eat about kind of like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. And then because I'm teaching late at night, sometimes it's difficult to eat before class. So I tend to sometimes eat after class as well, So, and that works for me, to be honest. I'm like my calorie intake, I know what I should be eating. So whether I have it at 1 o'clock or if I have it at 9 o'clock, it doesn't matter really. As long as my calorie intake for me is right, then that seems to suit me okay. Sometimes I get a little bit lethargic because I've not had my food before my class. So I have to be careful of that. But
it makes perfect sense. Your business is on fire. Everybody gets out. Okay, you can only grab one thing on your way. What do you
business?
Think? Yeah. Well, I could say your home, but I picked your business. I don't.
Okay. Because picking the business,
well, I'll tell you why I say your business, right? I say your business because I've been in the gym, I've been in the area. I know there's a couple of things in and around about there. So, so what do you pick up? Is there one thing or one object in there that's maybe means something to you or is more important?
As long as everyone's safe, then I'm happy. You know,
Fair enough.
Material possessions. I think it's not as important as memories, to be honest. So I'm not too fussed about picking anything up that's that's made of gold or something, or that's made this. Or, that's not what.
Well, I noticed there were quite a few trophies sitting up there as well. It's quite a few things on your shelf there.
Yeah, I mean, that's all. The trophies, the trophies I think themselves are not important. The memories behind those trophies are important to me, to be honest. So I don't mind about those, to be honest. I don't mind about the trophies and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I would probably, to be honest, if I had one thing to pick up I would probably say my Taekwondo suit and my belt, to be honest, because that's what's given me so much in my life, to be honest. I've met so many nice people around the world through Taekwondo. And I've met so many good people in my local area through Taekwondo as well. So I would have to say, if it was my business, then definitely my Taekwondo suit and my Taekwondo belt as well. As much as they're replaceable, those ones, the belt means a lot to me, and so does my Taekwondo suit
Yeah, I get it. In the picture of life experience. Absolutely. Yeah, it's a great answer. What kind of legacy do you think you will leave behind from the work that you've done?
I'd like to think over this podcast. I think that you get what I'm trying to put across is that it's not about me. So my legacy is not the important thing. The main thing is that focus continues and Taekwondo continues. From my point of view, I would hate for a little Joe guy or a little Jenny person or whatever to not have access to Taekwondo or not have access to focus martial arts, so they can develop themselves, So the legacy I would like to leave is, that the ability for people to train, not about me. I don't want a shrine in focus. Oh, this is Mark Russell. He started focus. It's not about that. Nothing is about that. What's about that is that it's always got a good reputation and it's always, available for people. That's my legacy. That's what I would like,
Yeah, it's a great answer. Great answer. Thank you very much for your time today. I really appreciate that as everything falls off my desk here. I hope this will attract more people towards the excellent work that you're doing. Where can people find out more about you and your work?
Okay, so they can obviously come into the gym. So it's 172A High Street in Elgin. So that's at the end near the Royal Bank of Scotland and up one of the alleys. Or they can give me a phone on 01343 540 240. They can also find me on Facebook. My own personal page is, just Mark Spike Russell, or they can find me through the Elgin Olympic Taekwondo page. There's also a website, www.focusfitnesscenter.com. Also YouTube channel, Focus on Taekwondo. If you look at that, you can obviously get in touch through that. And I think that's probably the main ways to get in touch with me.
There's quite a lot there. There's quite a lot to choose from. Quite a lot to choose from. Yeah, and people don't forget to tune into his podcast as well, because there's a lot of really, really interesting background information that comes out through that as well. So once again, thank you very much for giving me some of your very precious time today. I really appreciate it, and I wish you great success in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Much appreciated.
Thanks for your time as well. Thank you.
Made in Moray is a product of the Academy of Language Therapy and Life Coaching. Book a free online personal or professional development consultation today. What are you waiting for?